Welcome back. So before we get started, let's go over a couple of things for the open house. So if you're flying in, and we've got about I think 27, maybe 30 different people flying in, you're either going to be parking on the southeast side where I've marked there in red, in which case you can just walk down and follow the red trail there, and it's about a 10-minute walk, half-mile walk, or at least that's what Google says. So you know, it's not difficult at all. It's downhill on the way there and uphill on the way back. And if you park on the other side, that you can go over to the FBO there, and there's probably going to be somebody running a shuttle just back and forth, and if not, we'll organize something. And if you're thinking about staying in the area and renting a car, please contact the FBO and they can organize an enterprise rent-a-car to be on site for you when you arrive, so you don't have to go looking for it or anything like that. And hopefully if you're staying in the area, you've figured out your accommodation and such. If you're parking on the southeast side, you're probably going to end up being double parked there, and there'll probably be a lineman there organizing stuff, so it shouldn't be a big deal. When you have to leave, you know, we'll have someone move your aircraft or any aircraft that is in the way. Anyway, that's the details for that, so let's get on to the update. So over the weekend I managed to finish off laying out the ducting, the various ducting for the AC system. It took quite a while to get this sorted out because, you know, just starting to run out of room, believe it or not, in different areas. So got this one here, so this is the pilot side one feeding from the AC system to that vent, and then the one on the other side, which is the co-pilot one, the right hand side one, so that's feeding over there to that side, laid out nicely, and these are using 2.5-inch tubes there. And then this is the ones for the defrost for the windshield, so I had to create these vents which basically mock up the ones that Vintage Air provide. And so one's for left and right, so that'll keep the windshield defrosted nicely, we hope. So that's those two, and then underneath we've got the last one running for the ones for the back seats. So it's right now it's just a single tube because of just running out of space there in the inside of the center console for now, but we may be able to squeeze another one in there, or maybe go with a larger diameter, we'll see. But for now it'll probably be okay for the prototype. Anyway, so that basically runs around the back there, as you can see, and then sort of down through underneath the center console and snakes its way past the throttle control and a bunch of other different things, and then just wires out there, and so you have two different outlets there, so you can still, you know, direct the air in two different directions there, coming out the back of the center console there. So yeah, I got that all sorted out, and I still have to do lay out the lines for the feeds that go back to the engine, to the compressor and the condenser. So anyway, that's that pretty much sorted out, and there's the controls there. So the Vintage Air comes with 4 different controls, and I'll show those in more detail later. That's pretty much where I'm going to put those, I think. And this is today with Zach and Devon starting to get underway for laying up the mold for this new front seat mounts, putting down the black top coat there, at least for the first coat of that. So next up with the flight controls, next thing I needed to do was mill these little bosses here, which basically live in between the slot there, and allow it so you can slide the stick back and forth, but at the same time when you turn it left and right, that whole outer tube assembly there moves and actuates the ailerons. So there's basically 2 of these for each stick, and they need to be milled pretty accurately. So I created some tool paths and got set up to mill those out of the 4130 steel on the machine. And so, you know, now that I'm getting sort of comfortable with milling steel, it wasn't too much of a drama to set that all up, but you'll see that in a minute. Here Jeff's just finishing up laying up the first of these side stick support boxes that you might have seen there in the previous scene. So he's just got that under vacuum, and I'll see how that turns out here shortly. And here you can see I got the machine underway with a piece of 1/4-inch 4130 steel. It's actually kind of a scrap piece that we had lying around, but you know, useful all the same. So right now I'm actually cutting out the shape of the first one just as a test. So there it is there off the machine, and you can see it's actually got the little curvature milled into it because I did that with a ball mill pass first, and then I drilled the holes, and then I ran around the outside of it and stepping down really slowly to cut it out, and came out super nice. So unfortunately the slot that it fits into on that tube has gone off to powder coat, so I couldn't actually test to see how the fit is yet. But anyway, so you can see there I'm ready up with the next one underway, and actually just did the next 3 sort of at the same time, doing each of the steps. And you can see it sort of smoking away there. I'm using oil this time, back on the 4130 there, just a little bit of machine oil. That's kind of what the smoking is. It doesn't actually get that hot really, because it's only milling a tiny little bit at a time. And there's one of the 4 sitting on the actual side stick, so that's kind of how it's going to live there. And obviously I still got to drill the holes, and so that'll be something I'll be doing soon, getting those side sticks up on the machine so I can accurately drill the holes where they need to be. And there you can see the profile of that, so it sits on the curvature of the side stick. And here's that side stick box that Jeff was laying up, so that needs to be have a big section cut out of it, if you remember how it looks from the CAD. And then the flanges pretty much just trimmed in one corner in order to fit in the fuselage. So back in the CAD, I wanted to show you what's going on with the throttle and how that actually hooks up to the sort of Audi accelerator that we already have. So the throttles mount there, and then this where I'm highlighting here, that's where the actual Audi throttle is going to mount, the accelerator pedal, and we're going to cut it off there and then add an arm to it, and then there'll be a linkage here, and this is just kind of mocked up right now, and then that will hook up to the actual throttle itself. So when you pull the throttle back to idle it, it'll basically, you know, move that arm, which will move the actual accelerator pedal there. And you see we have mounting brackets and stuff that are sorted out for that as well. So I've designed all that, and it's time to get that one all sorted out. And so here's the throttle there with the tab mounts already cut, and we've got all the bolts and different washers and stuff on there to allow you to adjust the friction and everything like that on there. And it's just obviously just sitting in place. And there's the Audi throttle. So we're going to cut this off there, kind of where my finger is there. Cut that off there and add a little bracket to it, and then that's going to hook up to there. So this is obviously a throttle by wire system. So that's basically backing off there. I've taken the spring out of that so it doesn't return because we don't really need it. Anyway, so that's the throttle moves back and forth, and it basically just actuates that accelerator pedal. And as I said, throttle by wire goes over to the engine through the ECU. So that's how that's going to work. And as you can see here, Jeff has basically got the last mounting bracket there for the nose gear retraction cylinder. He's got that mounted to the forward bulkhead there. So basically everything's ready now to stand it fully on the nose gear. Oh, he's got this other one. He's just basically put a hard point in there, and this is for the gas strut spring for the nose gear to keep it locked down. We actually moved the position on that to make it more favorable, have a better angle on the nose gear from when we had, because we were hooking it up to this one here, and we decided that wasn't going to work out very well. And so that one now is going to be used for the nose gear hatch, and we have a hydraulic strut to keep that hatch open. And meanwhile, the guys are busy getting these two sort of waxed up and their rubber profile, and their leading edges still, Jeff needs to just do a little bit of finish work on there, and then the guys can finish waxing those, but it's not slowing them down. They're getting these ones ready, so it won't be long they'll be able to pull the molds from those. And Devin and Zach finished laying up the first coat there, or the first layers for these new seat mount molds. So tomorrow they'll be doing the heavy layers for that, and then won't be long we'll be able to lay up those new seat mounts, so they'll be ready for the open house. And finally, I actually got to lay up something today. So this is the center stack piece, and so I spent the afternoon, well, not a couple of hours this afternoon, laying that one up. And tomorrow I'll be actually laying up the center console, because that hasn't been done yet, so that'll be fun. Anyway, that's our update for the first half of this week, and thanks again for watching.